It's looks like top of the hour. Yes.
Yes, thanks, Craig. So good evening, everyone. My name is Rick Eisted. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Calgary Fish Creek, and I also sit on the District Learning and Development Committee, and responsible for our monthly club learning webinars. And I know a lot of you that are on tonight have been on previous versions, so thanks for that. In the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to personally acknowledge that most of us who are online this evening live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, those being the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, and the Tusit'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation of Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty Region 7 of Southern Alberta. I'd like to welcome and thank everyone for attending tonight's meeting entitled, Getting Ready to Apply for a District Grant, ? Here's what you need to know. Our presenters this evening are Jamie Moorhouse, a member of the Calgary at Stampede Park Club, and who is also chair of the District Rotary Foundation Committee, and Craig Henderson, a member of the Calgary Downtown Club, chair of the Grants Subcommittee. Now, tonight's session is scheduled for 1 hour and is being recorded. Live transcription has been activated, so if you want to activate it on your own personal device, look for and push the live transcription CC button that should be on the lower part of your lower taskbar. Please turn off your audio so that we can minimize noise distractions. You, of course, are free to leave your videos on if you so choose. Please use the chat button to communicate with each other and to record any questions you may have. Jamie and Craig have broken up the presentation into segments, and they will address questions at the end of each one of their sections. So Craig and Jamie, please take it away.
Okay, thanks very much, Rick. It's great to see everyone here this evening. Recognizing that we've only got an hour and I've actually got a lot of material to go through, I'll be moving through this fairly quickly. But please, I'd like to try and leave a little bit of time for questions. And if we can't get them all this evening, we'll certainly follow up. So for ourselves tonight, I'm going to be talking about 4 things, really. The first section I will cover, which is about the process for qualifying for grants. I'll also get into the various kinds of district grants that are available to us, which are submitted to the Rotary Foundation in a block. So these are typically the smaller projects. Then Jamie will take the reins for a section in which he'll talk about how the district can offer funds to uplift a grant application for a global grant. And I'd like to, towards the end of the session, do the big unveil and show off the new website that we're putting in place for grants for the 2023-2024 Rotary year. And hopefully we'll have a few minutes for some Q&A by the time I get through all of that. I did just want to let people know that the grants website walkthrough that I'll do this evening is going to be quite brief, and that we're looking to book another session in 3 weeks' time to actually explore the grants website in a little bit more detail. So although it may be a quick overview tonight, there will be another follow-on session where we look exclusively at how the new website works. So the presentation this evening, I'm just going to pull this slide in its entirety up, really is about applying for grants in the 2023-2024 Rotary year. So we start our grant cycle typically in October with the Grants Qualification Seminar, which is one of the mandatory requirements for clubs being able to apply for grants. This session is really just a brief condensation of that that session that normally covers 3 hours down into about an hour. So admittedly, we'll go very quickly. But to give us a sense of where we are, we're in the 2022-2023 Rotary year. And the grants season is really about to get underway. So the first milestone of the year is typically April the 1st, and that is when the grant applications for the district-based uplift on a global grant opens. So April 1st is opening day, and those grant funds are basically dispersed on a first come, first served basis. So we usually see a rush of applications for global grant DDF on the opening day of April the 1st. For the district block grants, and I'll get into what some of those look like, the deadline is a little bit different. It's actually a closing deadline. So the global grants open on April 1st, the district grants close on May the 1st, and we evaluate the applications we receive in a batch following the May the 1st close date. We typically will review all of the district grants through May and into June. We'll then send them to the district board for approval and send them on to Rotary International. Typically that happens by the end of June. And we usually hear back from the Rotary Foundation sometime in a good year, it's late August. In recent years, it's been more like mid-September that we're able to actually authorize and let clubs know that their grants have been approved. And usually the clubs will start to receive their funds for the district grants on around the beginning of October. So that's kind of the year as it rolls out. You can expect that we get very busy looking at the district grants in June and the global grants in May. In order to apply for grants, though, clubs have to be qualified, and we've got a number of qualification criteria that we rely on. So clubs have to be qualified to receive funds from the Rotary Foundation. We refer to the funds that we disperse as district designated funds, and that actually covers both the uplift that we can apply to people applying for a global grant, and also to the district-based funds and projects that we can support. So taken together, the whole thing is known as district designated funds, and our committee really disperses all of the district designated funds. In order to be eligible, you must have one member of your club in attendance at the Grants Qualification Workshop. This one is the one that we run in October. And I'm glad to say that we had really excellent representation from the whole district when we ran our seminar back in October. Almost all the clubs in the district have met that requirement. Clubs also have to execute a memorandum of understanding which the club agrees to be bound by the terms and conditions that Rotary International sets for us in relation to being eligible for, and the rules that you have to follow when receiving grants. This is a document that is to be signed by, and in our case here, we're going into the Rotary year 2023-2024. So that means the MOU has to be signed by your club's current president-elect and president-elect nominee for the following year, because most of these district project grants have a 2-year time horizon on them. So we look for both the president-elect and the nominee to execute that MOU document. Little bit of a change, because we're moving to a new website, is that on the old website, when you submitted your MOU, you would actually upload it to the grants website, which created a bit of a bottleneck for some clubs, because there were challenges that people encountered in getting that MOU document uploaded. The new system does not have that as a feature. So instead, we ask that when you execute your MOU, you simply email the signed and scanned copy of the signature page of the MOU to the District Grants Committee at the web address that you see at the bottom of the slide. Also want to remind people that when you execute your memorandum of understanding, your club is agreeing to a number of things. One is that your club has a written financial plan that will aid in the stewardship of the grant monies, and in particular, the transition, because these projects run more than 1 year, responsibility for them flows from one board to the next. So as a club, you need to make sure that your club is transitioning the knowledge appropriately. I can say now that on our new District Grants website, we do have a template form for a club financial management plan that you can download and use as the basis for executing your own financial plan for your club. Basically, the financial plan will require that you maintain your records in a secure location that can be accessed by the current club board of directors, so that they have the full line of sight accountability to the undertakings that you've made in regards to the grants. Typically, as you might expect, the clubs will have to be able to confirm, who the keeper of the records are, where the records are, and as I mentioned earlier, how the incoming board is made aware of the records relating to in-flight grants. And it's important that our clubs do this because failure really on part of any club to follow the terms and conditions in the memorandum of understanding can put us in a position where we're requiring the clubs to return any funds that were awarded as grants if we're in violation of the MOU. It also puts the entire district in some jeopardy because really the district exists and works as an umbrella type relationship for all the grants in the district. So individual clubs can put the whole district at risk. So that's why we become very fussy, if you will, about making sure the MOU and the financial plan are in place. To give you a quick sense of it, we typically take the monies that we receive from RI and break them into two buckets. So one are the DDF contributions, or as I call them, the uplifts to global grants. Because global grants are always treated in US funds, I've noted here that the total amount of DDF available to augment global grants is $248,000 for the Rotary year 2023-2024. Because the district project grants tend to be more local in nature, we tend to characterize those in Canadian dollars. So the pool of funds available is 285,000 Canadian for district projects. And these include the district scholarships, various kinds of youth programming, vocational training teams, which I won't say too much about this year, community development grants, which are really where the majority of these funds go. And we always allocate a certain amount of money to be used to travel grants, which are primarily intended to assist clubs in doing the community needs assessments against future larger global projects. The way the funds are typically used is, and these are really general rules that apply really across the board. District funds really are not intended to be used to provide donations to other organizations or fund operations of organizations. So district and global projects within RI always involve the active participation of Rotarians. A very important consideration is that no monies can be committed or spent before the grants are formally approved. We've run into this many times in the past where expenditures have been deemed ineligible because they were committed before the grant was actually approved. So that one is extremely important. Touched on this third one already about the unrestricted donations. Those are not allowed for global and district grants, and they can't be used to fund other organizations. Those are the biggies, but there are many other kinds of restrictions as well. So we always encourage people to read the full terms and conditions, which are available on the Rotary.org website. Become familiar with them before actually going through the exercise of applying for a grant. So of the types of district grants we've got, we spent a fair bit of time talking about this at the Grants Seminar, so I will go through this bit of it quite quickly. We have district scholarships available. Typically, the grant award is a 2-to-1 against the club match. So a club donating $1,000 can create a scholarship worth $3,000 by adding a $2,000 grant to it. Our maximum award for scholarships is $2,000. Clubs can award as many scholarships as they want from the grant, and they can determine the value of them, whether it's a single scholarship, 2 or more scholarships of lesser value, but the total value of the award is in all cases $2,000. As a general rule, we always like to see clubs getting together and pooling their grants so that they can create more leverage by working together. In the case of scholarships, pooling is allowed. And the one real stipulation for the district scholarships is we always prefer, again, wherever possible, the scholarship funds would be paid directly to the post-secondary institution and not given to the students. Second kind of grant that we have that relates to youth would be the youth programming grant. These come with a number of restrictions on them, so they have to be you have to be careful with what you do with the youth programming grants. Like in the case of the scholarships, the maximum award would be $2,000 with a club matching on a 2-to-1 basis. So a $1,000 club contribution can lead to a $3,000 youth program where the maximum award is $2,000. Some of the things that we can do with these youth program funds are use them for the registration and staging fees for things like the RILA, RIPEN, and RIAC camps. They can be used to fund certain expenses in conjunction with Rotary Youth Exchange, such as airfares. They can be used to support Rotaract and Interact clubs in various ways. Third kind of district grant is what's known as a vocational training team. We don't see too many of these, but these are really designed to encourage groups of Rotarians to travel to another country, and even the reciprocal, bringing people from another country to Canada to receive instruction in regards to a profession in relation to a specific area of expertise. As I mentioned, travel can be either outbound to another country or inbound, having participants come to Canada. As long as the teams have at least some Rotary representation and are ideally led by a Rotarian. The final type of district project grant that we got is the community development grant. This is really where the bulk of those funds that I was mentioning in the district budget go. These are grants that can be awarded in a range. And again, these are Canadian dollars. So the minimum award is $750, the maximum $7,500. The club match on these is 3-to-1, meaning that for a $2,500 contribution from a club, you can fund a $10,000 project. There are many fewer restrictions on these than there would be on the global grants, but these kinds of grants can be used either locally within your own community or can be used on international projects as well. We do allow for pooling, where multiple clubs come together on a single project. They each make their contribution. They each receive a grant that's matched in that ratio. For these kinds of projects, really, in addition, it's the same for all of the ones I've talked about. So the scholarships, the youth programs, and these community development grants. You are allowed to apply for 2 of them. So 2 of each. And when you apply for more than 1, or when you apply for 2, we always ask you to designate which one is your top priority and which one is your second priority. The idea here is that we'll always try to fund all of the P1s and then do another pass with the remaining funds that we have at our disposal to try and fund the P2 priorities. In recent years, we've pretty much been able to fund all of the P1s and P2s we receive, but if the demand exceeds the money's available, then we may end up prorating downwards on some of the P2s to ensure that we stay within our budget. So that's why we ask that you specify clearly what your number 1 priority is and your number 2 priority. And if you don't tell us that, then we'll actually disallow both grants. So it's always important that you designate your P1 and your P2s. So that is the district grants in a real hurry here. And at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Jamie, who will talk about the other side of the house, which are the global grants.
So Craig, just before we get on to that, we've got one question I didn't know the answer to, so I'm hoping you will. Does the district have any template to assist in a records management plan? And why were we using 5 years and not 7 years to meet CRA requirements for maintaining our files?
We don't currently have a records management plan. I assume we're talking about like a file plan template. We can look for one of those, and when we find it, share that, but we don't currently have that at the moment. And I'm not sure about the answer to the second one about the 7 years.
Yeah, me neither. I'm assuming CRA is 7 years, we should be 7 years.
Yeah, I'll have to follow that one up.
Okay, well, I'll just move on to the global grants then, because I think there were any other questions in the chat that I hadn't answered. So global grants, just to remind you what global grants are. Global grants support large international activities with sustainable, measurable outcomes in one of Rotary's 7 areas of focus. Really what they are is they're all about leveraging your club's dollars for doing good in the world, which we'll show a little bit of that in a little bit. And they can fund humanitarian projects, which is what the bulk of the global grants from within our district fund. Scholarships for graduate level studies, which the district supports 1 or 2 students every year, depending on if we can find eligible recipients. And vocational training teams. So the next one. So there's a few differences from the district projects, the biggest of which is a global grant must involve 2 Rotary clubs, 1 in the host country, which is the country where the activities are taking place, and an international club, which is typically what our clubs from this district are. However, the global grants can be anywhere in the world, including Canada. So we don't always have to be the international club. And every project must be a minimum of $30,000 US. All global grant stuff is funds are in US dollars. So go to the next one. So as I said, all the DDF funds are in US dollars. And we have, like Craig said, there's about 248,000 available for the upcoming Rotary year. The Global Peace Center and the Global Scholarships come out of that $248,000 pot of money. It all comes out of the same pot. We have two types of DDF grants available for global grants. We have the lead club and the supporting club. So lead clubs require 4,000 US from your club, and the district will kick in 15,000. And a supporting club is $2,000 from your club to receive $5,000 in DDF. So supporting grants have a kind of lower dollar amount to trigger the DDF to encourage clubs to collaborate with each other. And having the lower number helps remove the financial barrier so that all the clubs have a chance to participate in global grants. There is also an additional $5,000 of DDF available if your project is going to have a vocational training team involved. And there is an additional $15,000 of DDF available to a lead club if your club is going to put in extra money. So for the first $4,000 your club puts in, they get the $15,000. And then for the next $15,000 your club puts in, the district will match that dollar for dollar to a maximum of $15,000. So funds are, as Craig also mentioned, are allocated on a first come, first served basis till they're all done, with applications opening April 1st, and TRF matches all the DDF at 80 cents on the dollar. The biggest news for that is with our new website and the new online application, supporting clubs do not need to submit separate applications from the lead club. Their participation can simply be merged into the lead clubs. They can be merged into the lead club's application. So it'll actually make less paperwork for people instead of more paperwork. Right. So what does that look like? Using the bare minimums, your club puts in 4,000, you get 15,000 from the district, matched 80%, and you have a $31,000 worth of funding available to you, which gets you over the minimum threshold of 30,000 for a global grant. So with, like I said, with only $4,000, your club can qualify to get a global grant of $31,000 going. So that's pretty good. If you max out all of the contributions, so your club had $19,000 cash, and there's a VTT in your project, you would then receive $35,000 in total DDF. That's $15,000 for the lead, $15,000 for matching over the original $4,000, $5,000 for the VTT. That gets matched, and now your project is $82,000. Which is again, four times the amount of money you put in. So then we'll look at the supporting clubs, and 2,000 in gets you 5,000 DDF and matched. So for every supporting club grant, it will impact your funding model by $11,000. So the more clubs you get, every time you get a supporting grant, your funding total is going to go up $11,000 to be available to you. So a quick example of that would be using the minimum amounts. If you had a lead club, you had two supporting clubs, you would end up having $53,000 available. And just because we like to show the magic of the math, if you were to max out everything, 19,000 from the club, a couple of supporting clubs, you can get that funding model up to $104,000, which is 4.5 times the amount of cash that's put in. So the Rotary math is still pretty darn good. So how do we apply? What's the steps? The first step is you have to have a global grant number in order to apply for a lead club or supporting for that matter. So the first thing you have to do is go to myrotary.org, go to the Grant Center, and start an application for your global grant. In order to get that global grant number, all you have to do is have the name of the project, fill in the primary sponsors of both the host and the international club, and the committee members will be listed on the grant. Hit submit, and then your global grant will have been begun, and you'll have the global grant number. And it's that global grant number that when you go to apply to the district, that your application will ask for which global grant it's going to go to. That's the number that you need to have. And really, that's all there is to it. So so that would be a good place to actually turn it back to Craig, because now it's all about the application form. And I don't know, I see the chat, some things popping up. So I'll maybe check and see if there's a question here. It's the minimum global grant 30,000. What is the minimum TRF? You don't have to have any TRF money in it in a global grant, so there's no minimum. But it is, you have to keep in mind, the only money that gets matched are district designated funds, but you can do a global grant with nothing but cash from clubs, but you're kind of losing out on the advantage of doing a global grant. It's a limit of 3 of each type, so that you can have 3 lead club and 3 supporting grants. So I think that looks like that's it. Back to you, Craig.
Okay. So only a couple of questions on the global grant side. Kind of like to turn our attention now to what we're in the process of rolling out as a new website. The new website is based on Club Runner. So you'll actually go to the regular district website as your, excuse me, jumping off point to that new website. So just as a reminder, this is the website that everybody who's on the call probably remembers. This is the one I refer to as the old website. It's the www.rotary5360.org site. So right out of the gate, I've got a note here that going into 2023, 2024, this is not the website that you're going to use. However, this website is still live and was used to submit the grant applications for the year that we're currently in, the 2022-2023 Rotary year. The projects that were registered on this website are the ones that are currently in flight. Now, for these in-flight projects, we are not migrating those projects to the new website. So in order to satisfy your reporting requirements against your current in-flight projects, you will actually submit your reporting on this website. So because these projects have a 2-year time horizon on them, that means this website, the Rotary5360.org, will continue to stay alive for another 2 years, or I guess 1.5 years now, until all of the current in-flight projects are brought to a close. And at that point, we will then wrap up this website and archive all the documentation that it contains. So you still will need to go to this website to submit your reports. We've got still on this website the template final report document that you can download, fill in, and upload your reports and expense receipts against your current projects. But for the 2023-2024 Rotary year, you'll go to the district website, where the district grants subcommittee now has a presence. You can see the URL for that is shown on the bottom of this slide. And there's basically a grants page that contains a lot of the supplemental information that we've always maintained, and it also contains a link to the Club Runner module that will actually allow you to enter your grants. So the question, I guess, is why a new website? And one of the things that we're really hoping to get from this is a more streamlined application process. What I think this means in terms of a big win is that on our old website, if you were supporting another club in their grant applications, so supporting a lead club, you would basically have to create, if you will, a cloned copy of their project, put your own financial particulars in, and track that on your own. You'd have to still submit your own reporting on your piece of the supporting grant. The new website gives us an opportunity to actually have clubs begin to collaborate a little bit more on a single grant application. So we're really hoping this cuts down on the amount of duplication that we've seen using our old website. One of the things that, if you like, is a bit of a limitation on the new site is that it doesn't automatically route the approval messages around to the club presidents. So that means that as part of the application, we want it to mostly be online, but we are looking to collect a signature from a club president that basically says that the club has agreed to participate in the project. The club will contribute funds from the club and is requesting a grant in a certain amount. So in effect, this should be the only paper remaining, if you will, for the grant application process. And on each application, we can just collect these forms from the lead club and from each of any supporting clubs there might be, and assemble them into a single application. One of the key advantages of this new website, though, will be that it doesn't maintain separate passwords, as we spent a lot of time on the old website resetting passwords, looking passwords up. This is your Club Runner password that will get you onto this website. So again, a much more streamlined procedure for applying for the grants. The grant approval form you can download. That's now on the main page of the grants website. And again, in similar fashion to the MOU, we'll ask you to sign or have your club president sign and scan the approval form. Then you can either upload, if you're the lead club, the form to your own application, or you can email the form to the District Grants Help Desk, and we'd be happy to upload the form for you. So I just want to talk a little bit about the way the new grants website works. I'm not going to get into all of the details of whether your application is approved or not, whether you're overdue on your reporting or not. But I just want to convey a little bit of a sense as to how the submission process will work with the new website. The initial submission is, in effect, the very basic information that creates, if you will, the stub for the project in the system. Super simple to set that up, and I'll show this to you in a minute. But the initial submission is what gets your application up and running. The club will submit a simple form briefly describing the project. And once you click on submit, it will go to the Grants Subcommittee and will at least be able to see what you're proposing in terms of a project. When you submit your initial submission to us, this application will change to the status of under review, and the project under review means that we've got it and we're looking at it. The new application really facilitates much more exchange back and forth between the project or the grant applicant and the people who are evaluating the project on the grants committee. So we will, as a first step, when your project is under review, very likely ask you for more information. And in all likelihood, the more information that we're going to be asking for is that you submit the signed club approval form and fill out any other particulars. So after the initial submission, the applications can sort of bounce back and forth between, being under review by us and being back in the court of the clubs to supply any additional information that's missing. The slide here notes that the application will typically iterate back and forth between the club and the grants committee until everything is submitted and ready to go. So I've got a couple of things here to remember. Hopefully this slide is clear enough that everybody can see it, but we've already started to see a few questions from some of the clubs that have been piloting the project. The first one is to be sure that you've set the project to the correct Rotary year. The one I've got here is an incorrect Rotary year, just to demonstrate what an incorrect Rotary year might look like. This case, we're going to be applying for 2023, 2024. Unfortunately, the moment that you click on submit, you can no longer change the Rotary year. So if you've got the year wrong for whatever reason, you'll have to scrap your application and start it over again. So let's make sure that we're submitting in the right Rotary year. That initial submission, the step one that I was talking about, is really no more than the fields that you see on this screen. The name of the project, the Rotary year, the country that it'll be in, a very brief paragraph describing what the project might be, and a budget. That's enough to get your project application started. So once we've got the right Rotary year, the second thing that we're coming across is clubs noting that they can't find a qualified club. And like the old website, our new website does check that your club is qualified, meaning basically that we have received an MOU for you. And again, because I've set the Rotary year 2024-25 for this example, there are no clubs qualified, and you would see a message like that. If you're in the current Rotary year, the list of clubs you'll see is basically only the list of clubs that have submitted an MOU to us at that point. So if you didn't see your name on the list, the first thing to check is whether or not we've got the signed MOU from you. The next thing that people are noticing is that when they go to submit an application, they don't see their name on pull-down list. And the reason for that is that the users are not automatically added from the district register of Rotarians to the grants website. In club runner parlance, what they say is that the club members have to be trained. It doesn't really, in our current state, reflect that you're taking any sort of training. It really just means that our users need to be added and enabled on the application before they can actually submit grant applications. So what I've been encouraging everybody to do is reach out to us when you're ready to submit a grant application. We'll add you to the system and just walk through anything that you might need to know to get started. So this is really the first bit of the application, the initial submission to the Grants Subcommittee. I want to do a little plug here right now for a session that we'll be holding in 3 weeks on March the 8th, which will spend an hour just looking at the website itself. No slides, it'll just be a walkthrough of the website. But for now, I'm going to try and stop my sharing, switch screens, and pull up the grants website, if I can do that. Jamie, you want to just check for any questions while I'm teeing this up?
Yeah, I think they've all been answered in there.
Okay, good.
I will just say, back on the global grants one, I just misunderstood Bill's question about the supporting clubs, and there is a limit of 5 supporting clubs per lead club. So if you're the lead club, you can only have up to 5 supporting clubs on that one grant.
I don't think I shared the right screen here. Just bear with me one more second. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yep, I think so.
Yes,
I
okay.
can.
Okay, and I'll make things a little bit bigger here because I've got a fairly wide monitor. So this is the district website, 5360.ca. There are 2 places right now on the main page where you can go to the new grants website under grants. There's a grants website link here. There's also one at the bottom of the page that takes us to Rotary grants as well. So this is our landing page for the district grants subcommittee. We've got a little bit of information. We'll continue to build up the library of documents that we put here. You can see we've got some of the templates. We've got the template for the 2023-2024 MOU. On it, we've got the template for the financial management plan, and we've got the grant application club approval document that I was mentioning earlier. So from here, we can start an application, and this will take us to the grants website. And this takes us to that first page that I was talking about earlier, which is the initial submission to the district grants committee. What I'd like us to note at this point is that I am interested in having a bit of a naming convention set up around the various projects. So our old website allowed you to select from a menu the type of project that you were interested in applying for, whether it was DDF for a global grant, a youth program, or a scholarship. So what we're asking is to select from the set of codes that we've displayed up here, just above the page, what kind of grant application, or what kind of application this grant is in support of. So it was a district community grant, for example, we'd start by prefacing the project name with the DCD. We would also like to ask you to tell us about your P1 or your P2 priority, which I mentioned earlier. So for the sake of argument, we're going to create one that's a P1. And then a very brief name of the project, something like very brief selection of the project. Here we'll have the project year. You'll note there's a bit of text here that unfortunately comes from Club Runner that we can't change, but it's asking about the year in which the project will be completed. Please ignore that. What we're really interested in is the application year. So we can say that we're interested in the Rotary year 2023-2024 in this case. Then the next thing to display is the sponsoring club, which in our parlance will mean the lead club for the project. And from my view here, what you'll see is a list of the project of the clubs that are qualified, meaning that we've got an MOU on file for them. I know I've received more than just the ones you receive here. I haven't put them up on the website just yet. But in the case of this example, we've now got 3 clubs in the district that are qualified by virtue of having submitted an MOU. So once the MOU is submitted and we accept it, these sponsoring club lists get bigger. So we'll say, sake of argument, this Calgary Heritage Park is applying for this grant. Then we'll see the contact, and the contact list that you see here are the people that we have added from that club to the grants module. So in this case, we've only added 4 users from Calgary Heritage Park. But ultimately, as we add more users into the system, if your name doesn't appear here, just drop us a note and we'll add it. The country, province, territory, the city location, that's all pretty self-explanatory. Then a brief description of the project. And a very basic budget. It's a bit much. Click submit, and you've now got a live grant application in progress that has been received and seen by the District Grants Committee. I'll just show you 1 or 2 more things very quickly here, because I would like to leave a few minutes for questions if we have any. So if we look at the district grants, the one that I've just created is this one here, Wheels for Cambodia. As you go into it, we'll ultimately got the ability to do some edits on the basic description if you get a little bit more detail. Local club partners, this is really the thing that gives us the ability to say that our supporting clubs don't need to send in their own applications, because the supporting clubs can be added right in the application. We've got the ability to identify any other partners as well. So any organizations that we're working with. This is very much in keeping with the letter of participation that we ask for in our current grant system. That doesn't change. We're going to continue to ask for the participation letter. The basic application form gives way to a collapsible form here. We've had in the past separate variations of the form for the different kinds of projects. What we're trying to do is really standardize everything here. So the basic description of the project, we'll ask for that information, how it aligns to an area of focus, identification of the beneficiaries. These are all the kinds of questions that we have asked for in our grants applications for some time. If you've done a community assessment, what does that look like? How the sustainability is going to be measured, what organizations we're cooperating with, and what the implementation plan is. This is really the lion's share of the application here. And this is intended to really mirror the kinds of things that we were asking from you all along on the paper forms. So it should be a very natural transition from filling in the paper forms to completing the main body of the application here. Brief project budget. With the expenses and the expected income. This is where you'd add the grants potentially pooled from multiple clubs and what your expected expenses are. Any documentation that you need to upload to the grants website would go here. And eventually, really, this is sufficient to approve the project. If you're interested, this project overview tab, and we'll go through this a little bit more detail on the 8th, gives you a printable form where you can print out a hard copy of your own application for your files. Once the project is approved, we've also got a spot here for the reporting to go along. And again, any expenses, any supporting documents can all be uploaded here. So really, that is the new grants website. We hope it's streamlined and straightforward. We hope that this makes it easier for clubs to apply for the grants. We're certainly hoping to try and eliminate some of the duplication of effort that's gone along with having our supporting clubs, in fact, copy out the project applications from the lead clubs. As I said, on the 8th, we'll look at this in a little bit more depth. But for now, I'll just ask if
just
we've got any
one
questions.
quick check, Craig.
Yeah.
There's the one question we've got here is, can you review how you choose which project year before
Okay.
you leave that?
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to, actually, this might be a good way to show it. So if I go back to our grants dashboard, so this was the, where was the project that I had just made up for this Wheels for Cambodia. If you go into it, you will notice that this part of the display looks like the starting screen that we had initially. There is no project year here. Once set, you cannot change the project year. So if you made a mistake, you're starting over. And now I'll show you where you set that. So on the as you jump into the first page of the grants module, you've got the ability to set the project year. It's right here. It's a pull down list. So for our purposes, it would be 2023, 2024. And once you've selected the year, it will then show you which clubs have a valid MOU on that year. And as I said, ignore this text that comes from Club Runner. That's not the way we're using the module.
All right, thanks. Yeah, that looks like that's the only question in the chat right now.
Okay. So the main thing is I would encourage people to reach out either to the Grants Help Desk email address or to me directly. If you know my email address, it's rotarycraigh@gmail.com. Most of the questions that I'm getting right now are just requests to set up users in the system. It takes me like 30 seconds to do that. And as people get a little further into the application process, if they uncover any other questions, by all means, drop us a note as well. We're more than happy to help get up to speed on the new website.
Well, thanks, Jamie and Craig, for an excellent overview of what's new and exciting about district and global grants. I really appreciate the thoroughness of what you shared with us and the fact that we're moving forward with a brand new website. Obviously, there will be the odd hiccup as we sort of enter into it, but I think it's a great step forward. I wanted to mention that we usually record the chat. We get a copy of that. I'll see that gets to both Jamie and Craig to have a look at, so that way we don't miss any questions that were recorded this evening. Attendees, a couple of questions that did come up was about these slides, and look for a PDF of these PowerPoint slides in your email tomorrow. I will probably send them directly on behalf of Jamie and Craig if they're okay with that. And this session tonight was video recorded and will be uploaded onto our district YouTube channel probably by the end of the week. And then everyone that registered for tonight's session, which there was about 76 at last count, although we only had 46 or 47 attend. You'll get everyone that registered will get a link to this evening's recording. Please note that next month we actually have 2 learning and development webinars scheduled. The first one has already been covered. That's Wednesday, March 8th, but we just learned this evening as well that might be conflicting with another district event. So
Okay.
we maybe have to look at moving that either to Tuesday or to Thursday. but this is the one where the District Rotary Foundation Committee will be doing a deep dive, a more deeper dive, let's say, on what Greg shared with us tonight. The second one is on Tuesday, March 21st. Our New Generation Service Exchange team will provide us with an update on what they're doing, what their activities are involved, and hear how from actual exchange people, how this program impacts the lives of its participants. So with that, if there's no further questions or comments, I would again thank everybody for spending an hour of your time with us learning about district grants. So thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
So Rick, do you think we'll be able to move that March 8th one away from the secret 3K?
Yeah, I think so. I looked at my calendar in terms of the L&D calendar, and we can either do it Tuesday or Thursday. We know from past experience that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings are the least disruptive of Rotary Club meetings. So you can't pick a night that you're not going to interfere with somebody, but
yeah.
I think you need to look. I looked in the district event calendar while you were talking there, Craig, when I saw the note from Mary, and there's nothing recorded there. I know that there was an announcement from Steve by email, but there was nothing in the event calendar that would have told you not to pick March 8th. So I think it's really up to you two is to decide when you want to do it. But if we're all out walking and talking on March the 8th.
March 8th is not a good day to do it.
Probably not a good date. So you let me know, and it's easy to change.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Mary.
Yeah, no trouble. That's fine. We can all be brainstorming grant applications that we want to write. You know, maybe we should have the grant seminar on the Tuesday and then go brainstorm on the Wednesday and write them on the Thursday. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you guys to decide.
To me, I think maybe the Tuesday works the best. Just because very shortly thereafter, I'm going on vacation for a bit. So.
Well, this year, for the first time in 3 years, we've alternated Tuesdays and Wednesdays each month, just because on a Wednesday night, we interfere with Okotoks. On a Tuesday night, we interfere with Lethbridge East. So, and I can't remember, there's another club that meets on Thursday night, but if you're okay with it, I can start the ball or just to change it over.
Yeah, Tuesday works best for Craig. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're okay with me sending the PDF of the slides that you send me?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll send you the link as well. And if you want to send it from your email, that's fine. Or I'm also prepared to do. It's what I do every month for the club learning webinars.
Yeah, whatever you normally do is fine with us.
Super. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody that's still on here. Nice to see a few faces here. I see some names, but they're in the dark, but maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they're not appropriately dressed. I do have shorts on though, I have to tell you.
I usually do, but not tonight.
And your hair is combed, Rick.
That's what the pool does for you, Brian. Yeah, we're certainly enjoying our break down here in Florida. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You'll be back before August, right?
Yes, Brian.
Okay.
I think we have a RAAC meeting scheduled coming up in March. So
Yeah, but I know you'll do that remotely. I'm more concerned about camp.
oh, we'll have to chat on that.
Hey, thanks a lot. See you again.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Have a good
All the
evening.
best.
Well
Bye for
done.
now. Thank
Thank
you.
Bye.
All right.